in this video we're going to look at the distributive property. We're pretty much going to make this straightforward and just show some examples and show some things to watch out for and essentially get an idea of what we actually do here. Now, we can write a big general setup for this, but I'm just going to show you the actual problem just to make it easy. So let's say we have something like this. Not that, this. All right. Let's say we have 7 times, or parentheses, x plus 4. Okay? Now, hopefully you're seeing, well, in the parentheses, I can't add x and 4 because they're not like terms. X has an x and 4 doesn't have an x. So here's what you do. If you have a number, or it could be a variable, it could be pretty much anything. If it's multiplied on the outside and there's 2 or more terms on the inside, this 7 gets multiplied by x, but it also multiplies by 4. Okay, it distributes to both. That's where we get the name distributive. Okay, so essentially you still multiply, but this first or this outside number, letter, whatever it is, it doesn't just get multiplied to one term, it gets multiplied to all terms. Okay, so now if we do 7 times x, well, that's just a coefficient times a variable. We just shove those two together. So that would give me 7x. If I do 7, that's a positive, times 4, and it's plus 4, so it's positive 4. If I do 7 times 4, that just gives me 28. Since it's positive, we're going to add in the middle. And there you have it. That's the distributive property. Now, we're obviously going to do some more examples, but that's pretty much the basis of the distributive property. If you have something on the outside, you multiply it to the inside by every single term. Okay, so let's go a little bit further. Let's just find some more examples. Let's say 2 times b minus 3. And I would recommend you just pause the video, try to do every single one of these. That way, if you make a few mistakes, we can catch it now and hopefully correct it. So once again, I have 2 times 2 terms that are actually inside of a parentheses. So this 2 is going to get multiplied to b and to 3, but you have to watch out. So let's first just do 2 times b. So 2 times b gives me 2b. Now, 2 times 3 would give me 6, but I have to be careful. This 3 has a minus sign, which means it's negative. So this is actually 2 times negative 3, which would give me negative 6. Or I can just say 2b minus 6. Okay, let's do a couple more. Let's see. Let me get rid of this. That's not what I want. All right. That's what I want. Okay, let's do negative 4 times y plus 3. All right, so try this one. So once again, we just have to be careful about what's out in front. It's a negative 4. So if we want to distribute 4, we have to carry that negative as well. So we're distributing negative 4 or multiplying negative 4 to y, which gives me negative 4y. Then we're multiplying negative 4 to positive 3 because there's a plus 3. So if we say negative 4 plus or times a positive 3, it's going to give me 12, but it's going to be negative. So we'll say minus 12. All right, let's try another one. Maybe we'll make it a little bit harder. Let's see. Let's go with, let's try negative 3. Let me find a good color. What about this one? No, that one's too dark. All right, sorry, I got sidetracked. All right, negative 3 times 2x minus 4. All right, so once again, with this number out in front of our parentheses is going to distribute or multiply to every term in our parentheses. Now, this one's a little bit different because now we're not just doing negative 3 times x. We have 2 in front. So here's how you handle this. Multiply negative 3 by this coefficient 2, and then just tack on x at the end. So negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. If we just tack on x, negative 6x is what we end up with. All right, now, be careful of this situation. This is a negative 3 being multiplied by a negative 4. Let me clear all this off just so we can make it look nice. Negative 6x. All right. So once again, negative 3 times 4, but it's a negative 4. And two negatives, when they multiply, make a what? Positive. So we're going to add, and then 3 times 4 is 12. All right. Let's do one with a fraction, just to see it. All right. Let's look at a fraction. Let's say 1 over 4 times 8x minus 4. Now, a lot of people get in this situation and they freak out. They say, well, I don't know what the heck to do with 1 over 4. But let's just treat this like we've treated every other situation that was like this. We're going to take 1 over 4 and we're going to multiply that to 8x and to negative 4. And usually I get met with, well, I don't know how to multiply 1/4 and 8x. Okay, so let me show you how to do that. Here's what I would do first. The first thing I would do is take care of this x. If you're multiplying 1/4 and 8, the x is just going to tack on to the end. So go ahead and bring down x. You know x has to come down here. So then take 1 over 4, multiply that by, change 8 to 8 over 1. Now you can divide your diagonals, which means you can say, well, 4 and 8, those will divide. 8 divided by 4 is 2, and you replace the bigger number with your quotient. So whatever the result is of 8 divided by 4, you replace the bigger number with that. So that gives me 2, and then 4 becomes 1. So now if you multiply across the top, you just end up with 2. If you multiply across the bottom, you end up with 1. So you end up with 2 over 1. So this ends up giving me 2x. All right, same situation for the next setup. 1/4 times 4, but there's a negative sign. So go ahead and take care of the negative first. If 1/4 is a positive and 4 is a negative, what's a positive times a negative? It's negative, so just bring down the minus sign. Then take 1 over 4 times, rewrite 4 as 4 over 1, and divide your diagonals. Well, 1 and 1 will divide to make 1. 4 and 4 divides to make 1. So actually we end up with 1 over 1, which is just 1. So 2x minus 1. Let's do another one of those just so you can see the fraction again. Because typically this is where people get stuck, honestly. We can even do, I don't know, we can do one that seems pretty difficult. Let's say we do 1/6 times 3 over 5x plus 18. This one looks really difficult, right? But once again, let's just go about it using the distributive property. So we know just at a glance, we're going to take 1/6 and multiply it to this term and to this term. So let's do that. Now, if we multiply a number by a coefficient and it has an x, we know that x is just going to come down and be in our answer. So go ahead and bring that down. And then take your fractions, 1 over 6 times 3 over 5, and divide the diagonals. So 1 and 5 don't really do anything when I divide those. But 6 and 3, 6 divided by 3 is 2. So that 2 replaces the bigger number, which is 6. Then multiply across the top and the bottom, and you end up with 1 over 2 times 5 is 10. So this is going to give me 1 over 10x. Now, let's do the second one. 1/6 times 18. Let's take care of the sign first. Both of these are positive, so I know I'm going to have a plus. Now, take 1/6 times, make 18 a fraction, 18 over 1, and divide your diagonals. So once again, 6 and 18 will divide. It gives me 3. 3 replaces the bigger number. Multiply across the top. 1 times 3 is just 3. And that ends up giving me 3 over 1, which is 3. And there you have it. So once again, when you're distributing, think about it like you're distributing like you're distributing the multiplication to every term in your parentheses. And you'll be good to go.